I was about to say happy Friday. I mean, it could be Friday if you watching on replay.
It feels like a Friday.
It feels like it should be. I was talking to someone yesterday and they were like, "How's your week?" I was like, "I'm exhausted." And they was like, "And it's only Tuesday."
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my God. Thanks so
I
much
don't
for
know.
watching those on replay. Follow us, and I think there's a notification bell on LinkedIn now that you can hit so you can get notified when we go
Mhm.
live. Tracy and I go live. We try to every week. We pretty good about going live every week. The time has been because life be lifing. So
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
we're pretty consistently bringing you guys some valuable content that's very, very important for your business. So
Mhm.
we'll get more into that. Today, we're talking about disputes, kickbacks, and guarantees, and just how to navigate them in your business as it pertains to different parts of your business. We'll see how much time we have and where the conversation goes and what areas we can touch in this live, but we may
Mhm.
have to run it back depending on how far we get. As we go through, ask us questions. If you have topics you want us to talk about, DM us or comment, and so free because we're always making up stuff and we don't know if it's stuff that y'all want to be
See,
nice.
we're trying to make this customized to
Very
y'all.
hard.
So
Very hard. We're
if
trying.
not, you go get what you
You're
get.
gonna get it. You're gonna get it. I mean, it's still worth something. Might
Yep.
not be exactly what you need at this moment though, but you'll
But
need
it
it
will come.
eventually.
There you go. I was gonna say, if you're running a business, the things we talk about, you're gonna need it. Period.
Exactly. So let's go
Okay.
on in. Tree, how about this? We introduce ourselves at the top this time. You want to introduce
Oh,
yourself first?
yes. Look at that. We're doing orderly things today.
Yes.
Um, Patrice Tisdale. I am the your chief legal officer, your pro-rational legal strategist. Basically, I am your legal advisor. We want you. I offer my services on a flat rate basis so that you will um, not hesitate, to meet with us, to talk with us, to gut check whatever things that's going on. We want to make sure that the decisions that you're making in your business are sound decisions for you and your business. As I say, I was saying all business decisions are legal decisions. So you should not hesitate to pick up the phone and run things by your attorney. Um, Kellé?
Yeah, so no, that's important. And just like me, just like Tracy, I also run a flat rate practice for that very reason. At Commerce with Kellé, I'm a fractional CFO. And what we do is take on your day to day bookkeeping and accounting. But what sets us apart is we don't just give you reports, we actually tailor make a strategy for you to be sustainably profitable, optimize productivities, and stop burning yourselves out in your business. So today, as we jump into the topic of disputes and kickbacks, I think the best place to start is at the contract level because that's kind of the foundation of
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
So yeah, let's start there, Tracy. I guess we can emphasize the importance of clear, well drafted contracts.
Yes, that's from jump. That that's going to be my mantra. Like, I'm always beating that drum. Make sure your contract says what you mean and you mean what you say, and that each person understands, what they're walking into. So if you're doing your guarantees, that aligns with what your practice is, what you can deliver on, and it's clear, what the person is looking for, with that guarantee. But yes, your contract as a service provider, first of all, you should have a contract that your clients are signing, right? Not just, hey, pay my money. And then there's no real definition and no contract of what service you are providing.
Yeah.
I've seen that a number of times. that
Then
that's
they
kind
want to
of the
complain, and it's like, what you complain about? You ain't got no
yes,
contract.
yes, and it's like, oh, but they said that they were gonna do da 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 da, and I was like, okay, so where's it? Or the provider tries to implement terms and say, well, no, it has to be for this time period. And it's, where's that in writing? Where does it say that? So making sure as a service provider you have a contract that actually outlines what the services that you're providing, and then if you're going to do a guarantee, making sure that guarantee is clear as to what they get back, what they don't. So that's like the first basic portion of it.
So I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, as they navigate the foundational contract part of it, there's which is why we need a legal strategist like you, because there's a lot of legal jargon in those contracts that we don't understand, but it's your everyday language. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I know consistently has come up in the contracts we've done, or the ones we've drafted together and in others, is arbitration or mediation. What role does that play in the guarantees, warranties, dispute world?
So if you have a guarantee in your contract, and there's a dispute that comes up about it, the person says you didn't deliver what you were supposed to, and you say, yes, I did, or my guarantee only says that you get a redo, right? And there's a dispute there. The person says, no, I don't want to redo. You were horrible. I don't want to do this with you again. I want my money back. The one thing I'll always tell people, you can get sued, right? Regardless, even if you say you don't, a person is never barred from filing a lawsuit against you. That's where your contract comes in to say what that process should look like if there's a suit. And mediation, of course, is typically the cheaper route or the most cost-effective route, because both parties split the cost with that. Arbitration is the next step, where the parties can split the cost, or depending on which arbitration association you go with, one party is going to bear more cost than the other. But arbitrators usually charge a bit more for arbitration because it's like a mini trial than they would for mediation. Okay. So mediation is you're both sitting down working together trying to come to a conclusion or an agreeable resolution.
So that's not the buck stops there though, right? That's just, you must take those first steps. If your contract is written that way, you must take those first steps to attempt, let's say it's mediation, But if you're unhappy, let's say you can't come to a resolve in mediation, if you have that built in, it doesn't tie you down to you must come to a decision in mediation, does it?
No. So you're right. Like, it's mediation is typically the first step to be like, before we start shelling out all this money,
right,
let's try to do this. So even when you go to court at the federal level, if you file a complaint in federal court, they have magistrates that they will ask the parties if they want to go appear before the magistrate, and then offer some kind of mediation as part of the process before you get the full kit and caboodle of litigation. So even though with your guarantee may say it's no refunds. You have a contract where you may not even have a guarantee. You may say, nope, no refunds. Once you pay it, that's it, you're done. You would still put something in there if there's a dispute. You want to control where that dispute takes place and how that dispute rolls out. So some people, I've seen they have a no refund policy and think, oh, I don't need to do anything beyond that because my contract says no. So even if you go complain to your bank, or you tell your bank, no, that was a fraudulent charge, or dispute it with your bank, you may win at that level to say, hey, bank, look, the contract says no refund. But if the person decides that they want to be a pain and go further, you have those those boundaries in place to make sure that they don't go further.
Yeah, and that's something, I'm glad you transitioned there, because that's something that I do see on my side, where people will not honor a client request for a refund or even a partial refund for a service provided. And then next thing you know, we're doing their accounting and this kickback comes and it's like, oh, they took this $1,000 back out of your account, and they piss because they not looking at the numbers. We are, and they told them that they weren't going to get them a refund, and they like, all right, well, my bank gonna give me the refund, and then you gonna figure it out.
Always, especially
Always.
I
So
think
that's
American
why.
Express is one of like the really good cards. They don't hesitate. You say you just cough in their direction and they'll
And
be
they
like,
give
all
me
right,
the
give me the
money
money
back.
back.
That's why I use my Amex for certain things, because I'm like, if I'm not too sure that you gonna act right, because I'm a very, very fair person. But don't come
Hmm.
to me sideways talking about you got a policy that you know you don't have a policy. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. You just gonna go ahead and give me my money back, and we're gonna play
Hmm.
nice in the sandbox.
Hmm.
Um, and if you don't, I put it on my Amex. So, and I do that for all subscriptions though, because
Hmm.
subscriptions are there's always a thing that can come up easily with subscriptions.
Hmm.
Is that whole refund model, or when did you cancel, or all of that.
Hmm.
But to that point, I lost my train of thought about the refund fee. Oh, there's also a level of transparency in the relationship, right? So I think that's a strong thing that people should consider, even if you have a no refund policy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I've experienced things. Everyone is human. There's, always going to be something that could happen. And more often, you're providing top tier, excellent service. So it won't hit you as often, but it's going to hit you at some point, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I had a client where a mistake was made. And although we are an accounting firm and we have clauses that says you are to review, because we give you everything to review, right? We
Hmm.
don't submit anything without you signing off on it and reviewing it. So ultimately, the responsibility is on you. I realize there's a level of the relationship that I want with my clients, and I have already built as a reputation with my clients.
Hmm.
So you have to keep that in mind if something goes wrong, and still accommodate them in that space too.
Hmm.
Sometimes, even if you have a no refund policy.
And that's the big part in making sure that you're clear with what you are doing, making sure your offer is clear, making sure that your terms are clear. So even in a situation like that, it helps with the client relationship management too, right? You could say to them, look, I know my contract says XYZ, but we value this relationship, so I'm willing to try to do blah 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 blah. And you find, what middle ground you can work with, because depending on your client, they will see and they will know, like, yeah, she really could be like, you get nothing.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're not going to go down that road and we're trying to find a resolution shows that there's value there. So
That's
yeah.
exactly what I was going to say. It shows the value, and it shows that the heart to care. And over time, their client's going to remember that, and they'll stay.
Hmm.
If you do something sour and then they're on a cusp, believe me, they're going to dig that up no matter how long ago it was. But
Hmm.
it'll stick with them that, yes, this mistake was made, but they accommodated it quickly despite that situation. So
Hmm.
that's a big point to consider. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, don't do a guarantee if you know you're not able to 100% deliver, right? I mean, like I said, things are going to happen. Stuff might hit the fan, and there may be times where you will have to honor whatever the guarantee is. But likely, the point of you putting a guarantee in place is because you're confident that the times that happens is going to be never, or very, very, very minuscule, right?
Hmm.
So be cautious as you're guaranteeing things, especially. I mean, I like y'all to not do it even verbally in social media, making false promises. But if that's what you want to do to get business, that's your business. But when you do the contract,
Hmm.
please don't put anything in there that you're not 1,000% confident that you can deliver on. If you know that you can't get something done in 30 days because you got staffing issues, or you a one-man shop, don't promise them the 30 days. No one's
Hmm.
telling you have to do it, right? So with
Hmm.
that saying, don't over promise and under deliver or something
Yeah,
like
but you
that.
should, under promise and over deliver
Exactly.
is the
That's it.
process.
See, that's why
Yep.
we the dynamic duo right there. That what she just said, I can't even repeat it. You should do that because it sets you up to always level up, and you're not going
Mm-hmm.
to be apologizing or even have to honor your
Mm-hmm.
guarantee until you get to a level where you can really, really accommodate the guarantee with
Mm-hmm.
ease that you're writing for
There
your
you go.
clients. Yeah.
And with that note, I am actually going to be doing, I don't have the landing page, I don't have all the stuff set up. God's working with me on that. He ain't through working with me yet. But I will be doing a masterclass on October 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about this very same thing. How do you craft your guarantee contractually so that you don't end up, you know, Schitt's Creek without a paddle?
Mm-hmm.
And some of these things are what we're going to be, talking about. There's the practical business side, there's the legal, and it's how do you marry the two
Yeah.
when you're crafting a guarantee. But Kelly is absolutely right. Like if you know that you're going through staffing issues and you can't do something, if you're like, oh, within 30 days you'll get your brand done, or your rebranding done. Because I see Lisa here. Hey, Lisa. If you get your rebranding done, and we can do it in X time period, if there's staffing issues, pull back on that. Like make sure it's like, okay, well, 45 to 60 days. Little things like that. But this is where you talk to, you know, um, you talk to your strategists. You
Yeah.
talk to even with Kelly, like when you're looking at your numbers, when you do a launch, you're projecting that you'll make X amount. How much do you need to, kind of keep in reserve or think about, carving out for possible refunds or issues that, that may come up?
Yeah, no, I think that's so good. The last piece that I just thought of is from the financial side. If you do have guarantees in place, make sure you have either a fractional CFO or someone on your team doing an audit of whatever the finance, if it's something in regard to the financial side of the guarantee, or like let's continue to use Lisa for example. Lisa is a brand artisan, so she does all things brand management. So if she takes on a complete rebrand and she tells the client it can be done in 60 to 90 days, make sure you have someone on your team following that client journey to make sure you're on track for that and doing an audit of where the journey is. So you're not hit at the last minute from your team, like, oh, we're not going to be able to deliver at this date and it's 2 days before the date, right? So make sure you're following that journey of that. But also from the financial side, if your clients are on a payment plan that's tied to that guarantee, you need to let your fractional CFO know because that could erase the obligations of the guarantee. If you have in your contract, the guarantee is this unless you miss a payment or pay late
Mm-hmm.
or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that case may be. So if
Mm-hmm.
you run into an obstacle where you're unfortunately not able to deliver in that guaranteed time and that client's pissed off about it, you have some leverage because you can say, well, actually, you paid the second payment late, or we have
Mm-hmm.
yet to get the third payment.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that you need to keep in mind and why you need a legal strategist and a financial fractional CFO in your corner and not be reactive for those
Mm-hmm.
reasons, because that's when fees start coming in. When we
Yep.
have to come in after the fact and now I got to do an audit on all these payments and Tracy got to come in and read your contract and maybe discover that it didn't clearly disclose those things. That's when you get hourly rate charges. And that's what
Yep.
we're trying to avoid. And that's why we deal with flat fees. So you know how much you're going to pay for with our services. And you can just pick up the phone and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I got Joe and Joe complaining. How's Joe's payment history been? Do I got to get
Mm-hmm.
Joe back his money? or what we gonna do with Joe. So we can be like, Joe, you got to go, and you're not getting a refund. So
Yep.
we can say,
And that's literally how the conversation can go, right? Because we don't expect you to know your contract backwards and forwards.
yeah,
That's what I'm here for.
yeah,
Kellé doesn't expect you to know the payments and how they're coming in and when they're coming in and did they come in on the 5th versus the 6th. That's what she's there for.
yeah,
So if you know Joe is acting up, you call one of us and be like, listen, you want to be out. Like, how do I find my way out of this? We
yeah.
can have that conversation. Kellé and I, we can touch bases to have that conversation to be like, hold on, what's required on your end?
Mhm.
So it's something that you may not even know, like what Kellé says with the payment plan. If you miss it, you may not realize that that's one of your outs. But if you're not talking to us, or if you didn't, vet your contract with us, then we don't, we wouldn't be able to advise you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we can pause there for today.
Yes.
I think that's
Yes.
enough. We don't want to overload you guys with info. I'm going to drop my link, and I'll tell you a bit more about the services we offer. Tracy, if you could send me yours, and I'll post that too. Um, so what we're currently offering right now is we're trying to get y'all budgets together for 2024 because we know y'all ain't got one. We know you probably never did one. And that's a-okay because we're going to do one for you. We want to make sure that your 2024 is strategically planned out so you know exactly what the roadmap is to hit that number, that margin, whatever it is you're striving for in 2024. But this month is the time to get on our calendar to do that. I'm having annual brainstorming and budgeting sessions right now. And our goal is to have the budgets sent to everyone in November, definitely by mid-December, so you can start to put things in place from that. So you can find all things Commas with Kellé at www.commaswithkellé.com, and that's Commas with a K, Kellé with an E. And you can also follow me on all social media platforms. I will tell you, I'm about to play more on LinkedIn, so that'll be the best place to see the most up-to-date things. But I'm also on IG and Facebook. All right, I got your link, Tracy. What you got?
So, if you follow me on social media, you know that last night um, launched my beta version of Tisdale Tips, which is a membership for, I say, business luminary. It is a vault of vetted contracts and documents that you would need, and tips and guidances as to how, what some of the things, what some of the clauses mean in the contract. So the idea behind it, as Kellé said, you're working on your numbers to set yourself up for 2024. The thought behind it, as well as making sure that yours are in order under, with new document, with your contracts in place. And as I said, they're vetted contracts. Along with the membership, I'm going to start doing master classes. So you'll see more of my face. But I'll be doing one per month where we talk, well, two per month. The first one will be going through the document, talking about the highlights, the importance and the main clauses. And then the second one is talking about for you guys to ask questions. So this is a time period that you can review. If you have your contracts, review the contracts to see if they are on point and they still align with what you do. If you don't, this is the time period to get into doing so.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today, y'all. As you navigate this next week ahead, if you come across anything that's like, that's a good topic, DM us, drop up in the comments. Otherwise, we're going to keep making stuff up. That's still valuable information. But again, we like to cater towards what you need. I guess that's it. So follow us on all platforms, and we will see you guys next week.